When WWE launched the network in February 2014, it was more than just a streaming platform. It was a seismic shift, a bold, expensive, risky leap into the future that the rest of the industry hadn't even begun to imagine. Say what you will about WWE and hey, you'd be justified, but it was absolutely groundbreaking for its time. For a while, it felt like the future, it felt inevitable, and above all, it felt special. Every monthly pay-per-view, thousands of hours of archives, documentaries, reality shows, original series, all rolled up into one unbelievable price tag.
$9.99. WWE Network, just like Netflix, but better.
That price became a punchline on WWE TV, a marketing mantra and ultimately a symbol of the network's identity. But over a decade later, the WWE Network is gone in most territories, absorbed into Peacock and Netflix. How did one of the most forward-thinking experiments in sports entertainment become repackaged and diluted into a shadow of its former self for a higher price tag?
Today we are launching the first network of its kind, honoring what's most important to us here at WWE, all of you.
In early 2014, WWE made a decision that looked insane on paper. Kill the traditional pay-per-view model and walk away from $50 to $60 monthly buys. And offer everything: pay-per-views, Raw and SmackDown replays, classic content, documentaries, and exclusive originals for less than $10 a month. No one was doing this. Sports leagues had archival libraries, but none offered live monthly mega events at a flat fee. HBO hadn't gone standalone, Disney Plus didn't exist, and Netflix was mostly still movies and TV reruns. The network was ahead of its curve, and Vince McMahon knew it. Everything about the rollout screamed ambition, sleek branding, a modern user interface, and the message that they were pioneers in a digital era for professional wrestling. And they truly were. Corey Graves said it, Cena said it, Triple H and the Authority was saying it every chance they could.
Sunday, $9.99, and if you can't afford it, big fucking deal.
It became a running joke, so embedded into the product that fans quoted it without even realizing they were becoming walking advertisements for the company. WWE leaned into it knowing how absurdly good the deal was. In a weird way, the price symbolized the network's rebellion against the old guard. A promise that WWE fans wouldn't be squeezed by cable companies with overpriced pay-per-views or scarcity. You paid once a month and you got everything. Raw, SmackDown, WCW, ECW, hidden gems from the territory days, pay-per-views from decades ago, every Wrestlemania, every Royal Rumble, every botched finish, forgotten gimmicks, and buried characters, the entire history of pro wrestling in one library. Or at least in the more WWE sphere. Obviously outside of WWE, promotions do exist. It's not as if you got Ring of Honor, TNA, and NJPW in here, but you get what I'm saying. And for only $9.99. Not to mention, the amount of unique shows from reality to podcast is something I so dearly miss. The archive was massive. It had everything. Every Wrestlemania, Nitro, Thunder, ECW Hardcore TV, documentaries, Hall of Fame ceremonies, shoot-style podcasts, Breaking Kayfabe, and original productions like Breaking Ground, WWE 24, Chronicle, and Rivalries told in long-form detail. If you wanted to dive deeper into the careers of Eddie Guerrero or Shawn Michaels, the collapse of WCW, or the Monday Night Wars, it was all there. And that Monday Night Wars documentary that they had on there, by the way, is absolutely incredible. And for many fans like me who may have got into wrestling later, it allowed us to catch up on whatever we wanted. And hell, even if you've been into professional wrestling since the 1930s when they were hitting code reds in black and white, you could still watch everything you damn well pleased. It was amazing. That's arguably where the network truly shined. Not the present, but the past. Every major wrestling moment was preserved in HD, ready to be binge-watched. You could relive the Attitude Era, the Ruthless Aggression Era, the entire career of Undertaker, or go deep into the 1970s and 80s territorial ecosystem. The network made WWE history feel historic and alive. WWE tried everything creatively. You had Ride Along, Swerved, Legends House, The Edge and Christian Show, the Stone Cold podcast, which eventually turned into the Broken Skull Sessions. You had Holy Foley, you had Table for Three, match analysis shows, network exclusive countdown series, roundtables with legends, and of course, my beloved Total Bloody Divas.
Oh man, I'm gonna cry, bro. Like, it's corny, but we really had it so good.
If there's one thing, and this next sentence is gonna be crazy, so prepare yourselves. If there's one thing I really did appreciate and love about Vince McMahon,
No.
it's that compared to the greed and hunger of TKO in the Triple H era, felt like Vince wasn't trying to price out people or their families. I'm not justifying his actions in recent memory, nor am I saying his product was always perfect, but in terms of ticket prices being way better and the network having this much value for money, it was clear that at least to some extent he cared about the consumer more than they do now. Although, given the money they were losing with the network eventually, you could argue that the change to Netflix and Peacock was always going to happen anyway. You also had Tough Enough on the WWE Network too, a personal favorite of mine for one reason or another.
Taking the bumps tough? You been hurt? Big f***ing deal.
That's some
Not to mention, they also had something I so dearly miss in Talking Smack. 2016 Talking Smack, just standalone from 2016 post-draft SmackDown, is a level of peak I can't describe. But that has to be a separate retrospective because I have way too much to say about the Daniel Bryan and Miz episode alone. Some shows were serious, some goofy, some short-lived, but they represented something rare. WWE experimenting with its own culture. For the first time, the company wasn't just selling wrestling, it was selling wrestling as a lifestyle. Backstage stories, travel conversations in cars, retrospectives, unscripted conversations with Vince McMahon, and intimate profiles of performers humanizing the entire roster in a way cable never did. It's gonna sound corny again, but the network really did feel like a WWE universe. And I will say I had/have a whole series of the golden era of the WWE Network, which I still have plenty of network archives to revisit, but if you're new, hey new viewer, how you doing? There's a lot of great videos I've already made on stuff like Total Divas, of course, Swerved, Edge and Christian Show, Ride Along, etc. Many argue the network reached artistic perfection during the peak of Triple H's NXT era. If Wrestlemania was the Super Bowl or the Champions League final, NXT's major events were that beautiful indie-style supercard that always delivered. The weekly NXT episodes also streamed on the network before their TV deal, so think Sami Zayn vs Neville, Bayley vs Sasha, DIY vs The Revival, Cole, Gargano, Ciampa. The network wasn't just showing wrestling, it was cultivating an alternative scene inside WWE's walls. The WWE Network proved the company could be cool, it could be modern, it could be artistically respected, and for a few years nothing in wrestling felt more essential to the wrestling fan. Despite the creative success, reality eventually hit. Subscriber numbers plateaued, the tech had stability issues, and globally wrestling was niche. It wasn't on Netflix, not Disney Plus, and discoverability became an issue. WWE expected millions of subscribers worldwide, but instead the numbers hovered lower than projected. And when growth slowed, the financial pressure grew. Running the platform, maintaining servers, producing originals, and digitizing archives, it all cost far more than the monthly subscription brought in. WWE also realized that not everyone wanted to constantly watch wrestling content. Some wanted pay-per-views only, some wanted nostalgia only, some didn't binge endless archives. And crucially, cable partners weren't thrilled about a service that bypassed them. The network was brilliant creatively, but economically a gamble that stopped paying off eventually. And so for as good as the network was for wrestling fans, in terms of other people discovering it, moving to Netflix where everybody else is begins to make a lot more sense.
Now, personally, I wouldn't have a problem with y'all moving to giggity goddamn Netflix.
If you actually moved over all the archives. Why is like 70% of the archives still not moved over? The point is, guys, move over everything else, please. I'm begging you. I have no problem with it being on Netflix. I just want to watch everything else I could watch before. Is that too much to ask? Apparently. In 2021, WWE signed a $1 billion rights deal with NBC to fold the network into Peacock in the United States. Financially, it made sense. Peacock absorbed the cost. WWE got guaranteed revenue, and everyone business-wise called it a win. But from the sources of my friends over in the States, it wasn't the best. The soul of what made the WWE Network special had changed. The interface was clunky, the navigation was worse, certain content was edited or missing, no more pure wrestling-focused platform, no more WWE ethos at the center. Instead of WWE owning its own digital universe, it became a tile next to The Office and football. Internationally, the network survived on its own for a long time, and I say thank God for that. But its identity was fragmented. It felt like they were doing everything to move away from giving the customer a good bang for their buck. But why did the WWE Network really fall apart? The downfall wasn't dramatic. It was quiet and gradual, maybe even strategic. Running a platform is expensive, and WWE at the end of the day is a content producer, not a tech giant. Eventually, you have to weigh up the costs. In terms of subscribers, wrestling has a passionate audience, but not a limitless one. Also, from a business standpoint, a rights deal with guaranteed revenue beats yearly uncertainty. Not to mention, by this point, streaming was booming elsewhere. Netflix, Disney+, ESPN+, Paramount+, Hulu. By the time the world caught up, WWE couldn't compete in a crowded market anymore. The exclusivity, purity, and WWE-focused atmosphere disappeared once the platform became part of someone else's catalog. The WWE Network didn't fail because it wasn't good, it failed because it was too ahead of its time to stay self-sustaining. Peacock had been proof of concept, and Netflix was the evolution. Under Netflix, WWE programming stopped being a wrestling-only commodity and became a prime-time multinational IP. The shift allowed WWE to be positioned like any other major entertainment export, treated with the same seriousness as live sports, global TV franchises, and flagship drama series. And it's no secret that WWE has still continued to try and move in this direction with the Netflix move, especially when you look at all the celebrities that are coming into WWE and the ones they have at ringside at Raw and everything like that. It's clear that their vision is no longer about the wrestling fan, but about the fans who may not entirely like wrestling, but might want to throw it on every now and again. But at the same time, the purity of the WWE Network, the curated archive, the indie-style documentary originals, the for the fans, by the fans vibe, it evaporated into algorithm-driven menus and broader corporate packaging. What started as one unified treasure chest became fractured among platforms, formats, and licensing strategy. In the network era, everything was under one roof. After it, WWE's history, pay-per-views, originals, and weekly broadcasts have been scattered like puzzle pieces. Nowadays, outside of the WWE Network, it's like I'm running around on Tatooine. Some stuff, thankfully, I found an alternative on how to still watch it, and other stuff, until maybe we get WWE Network 2.0 or something like that, I guess, is just lost with time. It's such a shame, because for as much as I think corporate greed in the streaming era is an issue, I would have happily paid a little more to keep the network around. The value was insane, and for as much as the bit was about $9.99, I would have paid more to keep that huge library around on a platform. And in a way, it is kind of surprising that WWE didn't just raise their prices, but again, it goes back to that conversation about them trying to break into the mainstream again, so they're trying to cross-pollinate with things like Netflix, so I get it. It doesn't really help their growth if they're just the WWE Network, because you're already only saying, okay, wrestling fans are gonna like this, whereas on Netflix, maybe someone else can stumble across it and become a fan of the business. But for all of us who lived through the network golden era, it remains bittersweet, because while WWE gained reach with the Netflix deal as well as distribution and guaranteed revenue, it lost the magic of owning its own home. Even today, fans talk about the network nostalgically. The clean UI, the indie film-style documentaries, the NXT TakeOver era, the Hall of Fame speeches unedited, the various original series that actually took creative risks. And it's incredibly depressing to say, but the WWE Network represented a version of WWE that wanted to innovate instead of imitate. Because you see, the network wasn't really trying to be like a Netflix or a HBO or anything else that was around at the time, and that's really what made it so special. It treated wrestling like an art form worth preserving and studying. For $9.99, it delivered one of the best deals in sports entertainment history. And when the WWE Network died, something symbolic died with it. The idea that WWE could build a platform that served fans first, investors second. And so as we come to the end of 2025, for most of us, unfortunately, we no longer have the network, and for those of you that still do, you're probably gonna get that dreaded message eventually that says, yep, the network is ending in your country on this day. And so if you still do have it, I say enjoy it while it lasts, because the other side is not bright, my friends. Welcome to hell. The network, it didn't go out in scandal or failure. It went out quietly, absorbed by a corporate partnership that made sense on paper, but erased one of the boldest experiments WWE ever attempted. And today, wrestling fans are used to subscription. You've got streaming for every major sport, digital archives everywhere, but the WWE did it first. They built the template, they set the tone, and for a brief, shining window, the entire world of wrestling, past, present, and future, lived under one roof, in one place, one app, one library, for only
$9.99 a month. How much, King? $9.99 a month. WWE Network.
The network was more than a streaming service. It was a monument to professional wrestling history within the WWE sphere, an archive of memories and a reminder that sometimes the most daring ideas burn brilliantly, even if they cannot burn forever. So WWE Network, you may be gone or going in some places, but you'll never be forgotten. You will forever be legendary to me.